Hi guys, hope you're having fun at Bay Area Hackathon. Anusha Kotha here. So currently I'm working as a system on chip design engineer at Intel. This is my 6th month at Intel. And before prior working to Intel, I was with Tesla. Like all of you must be aware of it, as you know, all of us are definitely fans of Tesla, I would assume. And like Sid has informed me to talk about artificial intelligence. And so before going into exactly the artificial intelligence, I would like to talk about my experience so far working in the automobile industry and now in the semiconductor industry. So right after my master's, I did electrical engineering from University of Texas at Dallas, and undergrad was back in India, and I moved in here for my master's. Right after my master's, I joined Tesla as an intern, as a autopilot intern. Basically, it's called test and automation intern. So I would say I've got an amazing opportunity to work with a couple of great engineers at Tesla, wherein I was working at the Fremont factory. So I worked with thousands and thousands of robots involved, I would say, in like looking at those robots. You will definitely feel like humans are nothing in front of robots. But then, this is the era of machines, I would say. That doesn't mean we completely rely on machines. Human knowledge is the most important asset, I would say, most important asset, because we are the inventors of those machines. So if we don't exist, then machines don't exist, as simple as that. So when I was working on the Tesla, I had to walk on the floors wherein you know exactly the robot comes in and picks up the module of the Tesla battery pack and then places it inside the car, and how exactly it is mounted on the car, as in like, so first first of all, in order to talk about the automobile industry, the it has wide variance. So at least in terms of Tesla's perspective, we had a complete different scenario wherein one robotic machine completely takes care of the cell and the other takes care of the top module, as in like the body part of the car, and the third one would be just to insert the infotainment system, like the sound recording system, and insert the chairs. So right from the scratch, like exactly, there is no human involvement, at least at Tesla. So pretty much I would say it's kind of tedious to distinguish between the human labor and machine labor, because if we end up working or fixing those parts, let's just assume, then it's going to be very tedious, right? So it's actually a very difficult job for human beings to perform that. And on top of that, downtime will be more and lead time will be more. So we need a finished product no matter what. And every company, every person expects that they have a finished product. So I would assume that in order to meet those timelines, humans, we cannot meet it, even though we are the programmers of those robots. So I would assume robots would do their part, their bit of it. So in order to do that, we do estimate the cycle time. We call it as cycle time. So let's say I have to move one part from location A to location B. So we just say that based on the distance, we calculate and give a rough estimation saying that it's going to take 15 to 20 minutes. So if the robot is down, the worst case is 30 minutes, because an engineer should go and fix it. And then the best case would be 15 minutes. So that's how we end up calculating the distance cycle time. So there are like hundreds and hundreds of machines, robots involved in this automobile industry. And I would definitely say, if you guys get a chance, Tesla factory has a visiting tour Monday to Thursday. I believe it's morning 9 a.m. as first slot and evening 5 p.m. is another slot. So if you get a chance by any chance, or if you know any of the employees, do ask them for, factory tour. It's worth it. I would definitely say it's a worth it experience. You guys should definitely experience the way how automobile industry functions, in a way how fast track it is, and that way you can just distinguish between uh, automobile industry, normal automobile industry, and Tesla automobile industry, I would say. So if I have to talk about AI now, so what exactly is AI? So I believe, AI refers to the human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think like humans and mimic our actions. So it is completely associated with human mind, such as learning and problem solving. If I have to put the ideal characteristic of artificial intelligence, I would describe it as the ability to rationalize and take actions that have best chance of achieving the specific goal. So let me start off by asking this: what do you think would be, day-to-day applications where you get to see AI? From everyday morning we wake up with alarms, or let's say the basic example is I tell my Google to set up an alarm at 6 a.m. so it wakes me up. So that is the best example. From morning to evening we are surrounded by the technology. Definitely we are surrounded by technology. So I would say, all this smart home devices, which we call it as smart home devices, like Alexa, Google Home, Cortana, everything basically. So they are also part of smart homes, as in like smart technology, which helps us better understand artificial intelligence. So let's you know, uh, understand what exactly is the artificial intelligence and how does it help us. When most people hear about this term called artificial intelligence, the first thing they think of is robots. Yes, definitely, as I have mentioned, my most valuable experience was with Tesla, I would say. And it's been, that's because big budget films and novels weave stories about human like machines that wreak havoc on Earth. And I think most of you have watched the movie called The Matrix. If not, do watch it. It gives a very good message about the artificial intelligence back in those days, how they were able to give us the futuristic information about artificial intelligence. And it is completely based on the principle that human intelligence can be defined in a way that a machine can easily mimic it and execute tasks from the most simple to those too complex. The goals of artificial intelligence should always include learning and perception. On top of that, you need to have reasoning. So, as technology advances, previous benchmarks that define artificial intelligence will become outdated. For example, let's say machines that calculate basic functions or recognize through optimal characteristic recognition are no longer considered to embody the artificial intelligence, since this function is now taken for granted as an inherent computer function, right? So it is a continuous evolution to benefit different industries, be it medical, be it automobile, be it semiconductor, be it housing industry, be it defense technology. And so we can definitely say that machines are wired using a cross-disciplinary approach based on math, computer science, linguistics, psychology, and many more. So, and on top of that, we would say that, algorithms play a very important role in the structure of artificial intelligence, where simple algorithms are used in simple applications. Let's just talk about the artificial intelligence applications. The applications of AI are endless. Definitely, there are endless. The technology can be applied to many different sectors and industries, AI is being tested and used in especially the healthcare industry for dosing drugs and for different treatment in patients, and also for surgical procedures in the operating room. Yeah, so let me elaborate it more, because let's say there's a human and also a robot, XYZ robot, and you have to perform some operation, but let's say surgery, surgical procedure. Human mind is trained in such a way that he knows the complete procedure. Like first say they have to take the scissor and then like separate the human body parts or cut it. So we have established the basic process or basic procedure through reading. So we human beings know that, but how do you replicate or how do you inform robots is something which comes into existence here. So we talk about imposing all these algorithms in machines. So that way it is not exactly the way we are describing right now may be applicable for machines, but we tend to put in a way that machine understands it. That is something called algorithm. It is through programming, it could be through programming, or it could be through any other uh, training as training to robots as well. So here in the healthcare industry, if I were to talk about healthcare industry, definitely it will be a great solution in future if machines were to perform difficult, arduous surgeries, they would be definitely helpful. So other examples of machines with AI also includes computers that play chess and also the self-driving cars. Okay, if I were to talk about self-driving cars, again, this takes me back to Tesla again, the autopilot mode. So I did get a chance to drive Tesla when I was working at Tesla. So that was like Model S. And initially, I was so skeptical about driving it because assuming that's a completely self-driving car, and I wasn't sure how exactly it was different from the normal automobile car. So it was pretty decent. So as soon as I stepped into the car, the only thing which fascinated me was the interior and the autopilot, which is also termed as the infotainment system, I would say. So it just has normal modes as in like the drive mode and the reverse mode. On top of that, it also has autopilot mode. As soon as I just started driving, I could really enjoy the drive, and I kept it in autopilot mode. I did not feel that a machine is driving on the roads, and how capable and how efficient it is in terms of looking at the white band lines and the traffic signals, in analyzing the distance between two cars, in analyzing the accidents, in analyzing the speed. So it's enormous. It's enormous, actually. The way I put it in terms is very simplistic, I would say, but when it comes to chip designing aspect of it, when it comes to algorithm aspect of it, it's quite tedious, because I know working in the semiconductor industry, for me to design one chip or two chips from scratch, from ideation to execution, it takes like an year of time, because we have to come up with multiple changes with certain inputs and outputs. So that way we get an idea whether that is like whether the efficiency or the defects per part or defects per million, as in. But so if I have to take an example of a chip, so I say that the defects per million. So those should be less when I release the product into the market, because at the end, customers don't expect that to be, faulty, right? So we have to make sure that is not faulty by testing it a couple of times. That is how we connect it with the revisions, revision 1, revision 2, revision 3. So that way we have a clear picture in front of us on what to modify, where are the certain characteristics where we need to modify. So this is the culmination of automobile industry, basically, as in like the semiconductor and automobile industry. So I was talking about the self-driving cars basically, and how exactly the chip designing comes into existence in this scenario. So each of these machines must weigh the consequences of any action they take. Each action will impact the end result. So in chess, let's say the end result is winning the game. For self-driving cars, the computer system must account for all external data and compute it to act in a way that it prevents collision. Else, if there is a collision and if your self-driving car is not able to stop, it doesn't make sense, right? So you have to make sure the end solution should be to compute the way that it will prevent collision. And if I have to talk about the financial industry, it is definitely used to detect the flag activities in banking and in finance, such as unusual debit card usage, and make sure that the transactions are being transparent and no one is hacking your bank accounts. So which helps us eliminate the bank's fraud, right? And applications of AI are also being used to help streamline and make trading easier. This is done by making supply demand and making sure that pricing of securities are easier to estimate. So if I have to categorize what exactly the artificial intelligence, it can be divided into two categories, weak and strong. Weak AI embodies a system designed to carry out one particular job. And weak AI systems can include like video games, such as, simplistic example is chess, from above and personal assistants such as Amazon's Alexa, Apple Siri. You just ask the question and then it just pops up, or it gives you an answer to you. So that is like weak AI. If I had to put it in terms of strong AI, systems are here systems that carry on the tasks considered to be like human-like. These tend to be more complex and complicated systems. They are programmed to handle situations in which they may be required to problem solve without having a person intervene in between. So in this case, this kind of applications could be like self-driving cars, hospital operating rooms. And so what are the special considerations which comes into existence if you were to ask me? And the people, another is that, since it's just the beginning, AI has come under scrutiny from scientists and public alike. One common thing is the idea that machines will become so highly developed that humans will not be able to keep up, and they will take off on their own, redesigning themselves at an exponential rate. Right now, the curve is somewhere lower, not even linear, but at one point in near future, it will be an exponential rate. And another is that machines can also have the capability to hack into people's privacy and even be weaponized. So there are like a lot of enormous arguments about debating the ethics of AI and where intelligent systems such as robots should be treated the same rights as humans. So self-driving cars have been fairly controversial as their machines don't tend to be designed for the lowest possible risk and least casualties. So if presented with a scenario of colliding with one person or another at the same time, these cars would calculate the option that would cause the least amount of damage. So always, whether it's AI, whether it's designing any product, any design, the basic thing which we look into is the best case design and the worst case design. Okay, what happens if the best case design is not functional? We should also analyze the worst case and try to fix it and make it as a best design. Another contentious issue might be, or might seem, that many people with artificial intelligence might affect human employment, with many industries looking to automate certain jobs through the use of intelligent machinery. There is a concern that people would be pushed out of workforce. Right now, self-driving cars may remove the need for taxis and car share programs, while manufacturers may easily replace human labor with machines, making people's skills more obsolete, I would say. So if actually, Elon is always against AI because I like to quote his wordings here. AI is far more dangerous than a nuclear war because some, not sometimes I would say, because in the near future, there are a lot of risks involved with AI. Machines overtaking human beings is like technology is giving life to the potential to flourish like never before, right? So it's gonna be a self-destruction. So in order to make sure that AI is being used properly, we have to come up with something where everyone is happy with it, not like eliminating humans and replacing humans, because that's gonna be like the huge loss for the workforce. And in the near term, the goal of keeping AI's impact on societal beneficial motivates research in many areas as well. So you have to make sure you have to verify, validate, give the proper security along with proper controls. And in the long term, the important question is what will happen if the quest for strong AI succeeds and AI system becomes better than humans at all cognitive tasks? Yes, definitely there will be a high probability if they're replacing. They might be better than humans, I would say, but they should not replace humans. That is how should be the terminology. By inventing revolutionary new technologies such as super intelligence, I would say, might help us eradicate a lot of wars, diseases, and poverty. So the creation of strong AI might be biggest in human history, right? And how can we say that AI is dangerous? The AI is programmed to do something devastating. Like autonomous weapons are artificial intelligence systems that are programmed to kill. In the hands of the wrong person, if you give these weapons, could easily cause mass casualties. Moreover, AI arms race could inadvertently lead to an AI war that might also result in mass casualties. So humans could plausibly lose control of such a situation. This risk is one that's present even with narrow AI. And the AI and the next thing would be like one thing. So I would like to keep it in two factors how AI can be dangerous. The first one, which I was talking about right now, is AI is programmed to do something devastating. And the second one would be AI is programmed to do something beneficial, but it develops a destructive method for achieving its goal. This can happen whenever we fail to fully align the AI's goals with ours, which is strikingly difficult. If you ask an obedient, intelligent car to take you to the airport as fast as possible, it might get you there chased by helicopters covered in, you know, vomit, doing not what you wanted, but literally what you asked for. If a super intelligent system is tasked with ambitious geoengineering project, it might wreak havoc with our ecosystem as a side effect and view human attempts to stop it as a threat to be met. So why is that there is like a lot of interest and recent activities in making sure that AI is safe enough? Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, Steve Wozniak, Bill Gates, and many other big names in science and technology have recently expressed the concern in the media and via open letters saying that, it's a risk. What are the risks being posed by AI? The idea that the quest for strong AI would ultimately succeed when it's a thought of science fiction centuries or more away. Basically, if it's a breakthrough which is helping people, not breaking people, that's how I would like to put it. And that is like, okay, if you were to, let's talk about let's talk about what exactly happens if AI overtakes human beings, and how difficult or arduous that situation would be to take in control. I definitely can't imagine that, because we are the trainers of robotics or the machines. So it has to be in our control and used in a proper way. If I have to put it in those terms, I was talking about the autopilot. And I seriously feel, because my brother is in defense. He's a captain in Indian Army. He's a captain in Army. So I literally get freaked out when he just goes onto the borders to fight against other countries, because they are risking their lives. In this aspect, I would say, if we have a machine which can fight with their their people, so that's like a warlike situation, right? So I don't want someone to lose their life, but at the same time, I'm making sure there's a war happening between two robots. So there has to be a trade-off mechanism between human beings and machines. So that should not be the case in near future. Whatever we are developing, whatever we are programming, it should be beneficial for every individual. Let's say, even if I were to talk about the healthcare industry, the financial industry, the defense technologies, everything. So basically, AI, what is a myth here? AI can't control humans, but the fact is, intelligence enables everyone to control. We control tigers by being smarter. And what is the other myth? Machines can't have goals. The fact is, a heat-seeking missile has also a goal. So it's just the years away that super intelligence is gonna take away or replace human beings. And the actual worry is, it's at least decades away, but it may take long to make it safe. So we don't have to panic, but it's just that we have to plan ahead, at least for AI, in terms of making AI beneficial. So if and I think Bay Area Hackathon is providing you an amazing platform to come up with good number of projects to work on. Right now, the pandemic is so huge that we are not able to control it. So maybe AI will be able to control it in near future. If I were to talk about the near future, I don't know whether all of us will be alive or dead by the time the vaccination comes in or the AI takes over human beings. But at the same time, I would say it should be beneficial, where it should be able to eliminate all this kind of pandemics, epidemics, everything basically. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to connect me on LinkedIn. I will share my LinkedIn ID with Sid. And I hope this was so beneficial for you guys, to make sure I'm at least, I wanted to leverage my skills and whatever I have learned through the industry so far, because it's been an amazing journey coming up, from moving from automobile industry to the semiconductor industry for me especially. But there are like pros and cons, definitely. And I wish all of you guys best of luck for this hackathon. Do connect me on LinkedIn if you have any questions regarding, STEM, or feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you feel free to, if you want to do so. Maybe if I can be of any help to you guys, it would be my honor, because every day is a learning. I believe that every day is a learning process. So I always want to be a quintessential. I put it in those terms. That's my best quality. Quintessential learner, I would say. So thank you for giving me this opportunity, and hopefully we'll get to catch up again in person after this pandemic. Maybe next year. We never know. Thanks. Wish you good luck, guys.